From Asia News Weekly, this is Asia Now. Today, South Korea's President Park Geun-hye struggles to fill top posts. Hello and welcome to Asia Now. I'm Steve Miller. South Korean President Park Geun-hye is no stranger to controversy. She's the daughter of General Park Chung-hee, who came to power in 1961 after leading a military coup to seize control. He led the country until his assassination in 1979. Many wondered, during her campaign, if the daughter of a former dictator would be a suitable head of state. It turns out that was only the start of her problems as Korea's first woman president. Before taking office, it was rumored that the nation's National Intelligence Service was conducting an online smear campaign against Park's opponents. After months of inquiry, the rumors were substantiated, and the head of the NIS resigned. Calls for the persecution of those perpetrating the deception still linger, and some have called into question the validity of Park's electoral win. Then, while on Park's first state visit to the U.S. in May of 2013, her spokesperson, Yoon Chang-jung, allegedly sexually harassed a Korean-American embassy intern. Yoon said that patting her on the waist and inviting her to his hotel room, where he was half-dressed, was a difference of cultures. His actions underscored a prevailing attitude by powerful men in Korea as to the status and role of women, even in the 21st century. Rather than face justice in the United States, Yoon fled back to Korea and later resigned. Chung Hong-won offered his resignation on Sunday, April 27th of this year in an attempt to deflect criticism of Park's handling of the Sewol ferry rescue. It was a transparent gesture that fooled no one. It also didn't work, as furor over the sinking continues and is directed at President Park. That anger is misguided, since South Korea has a more than 20-year history of safety-related disasters that spans multiple governments. Nonetheless, the loss of Chung was another blow to Park's administration. Unfortunately for Park, additional problems would soon mount. The president's first pick for prime minister was former Supreme Court Justice Ahn Dae-hee. His candidacy was short-lived when it came to light the courts gave him special considerations, allowing the former judge to earn nearly $10,000 per day in private practice. The outrage over Ahn's compensation came quick and was swift, and some wondered if he was trying to actually buy his position. Ahn tried to lessen the people's anger by vowing to donate and return the funds, but it was too little and too late, and he opted to step aside. So, let's recap. In a year and a half, Park wins an election under allegations the nation's spy agency tried to rig the vote. Her spokesman allegedly sexually harasses an American on Park's first U.S. trip to meet with President Obama. Chung resigns to try and protect Park, but then opens her up to more criticism when she taps Ahn for the vacancy. With all that transpired, it's blatantly clear the president needed to pick a slam dunk for her new prime minister. Well, she didn't. Park put forward Moon Chung-kook. He's a former journalist and devout Christian. Unfortunately for President Park, Moon was recorded in 2011 telling a congregation the Japanese control of the peninsula was God's will. Furthermore, the Korea Herald reports he told a group of university students in April that Seoul did not need to demand Tokyo's apology for the wartime sexual enslavement of Korean women from Japanese soldiers, which is actually counter to the efforts being made by the administration in current bilateral talks. The pair of statements is incredibly inflammatory. Significant opposition to the nomination exists, and calls for Moon to step aside have been made. But after the previous botched attempt, some believe withdrawing the nomination might cause even more harm to Park. The ruling Saenuri Party does have enough votes to confirm Moon, but if the vote is carried out along party lines, that could be even worse. As the events unfolded, I asked myself, did no one vet the candidates? The red flags An and Moon have would instantaneously disqualify them from office under the most reasonable of circumstances. So how did they make it through? Is the administration incompetent, or are they just out of touch? There simply is no way either candidate should have ever seen the light of day if Park's team was doing their jobs. This, of course, is if Park and her team feel there were any issues at all with An or Moon. If they didn't, and let them skate through, it would speak volumes about the inner workings of the Blue House. However, President Park's problems don't end there. Tuesday afternoon, Yonhap News reported the president's latest pick for the new education ministry, a professor from Korea University, one of the top 3 institutions in the nation, has been accused of plagiarizing a thesis written by one of his students. Unfortunately, plagiarism is common in Korea, and in my experience is only looked negatively upon if you're caught. Not that you actually did it. If the allegations are true, Kim Young-soo would hardly be an appropriate choice to champion education in Korea, which is so sorely needed of reform. But what do you think is happening? Why is President Park Geun-hye making so many poor choices? With misstep after misstep, does she have any political capital left? Can she garner enough respect and support to effectively govern the remainder of her term? Be sure to share your thoughts in the comments on Facebook or Twitter. You can find us at facebook.com/Asian News Weekly or follow at Asian News Weekly on Twitter. For Asia Now, I'm Steve Miller. Asia Now is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License.